Now the Bodhisattva's confession of downfalls. This is also known as the 35 Buddhas Confession, kind of the informal name. And then another name it is also known as is the Sutra in Three Heaps, the Sutra with the three elements. As I've mentioned before, there are two traditions of explaining what the three heaps or the three components are. Maybe less literally than heaps, components. It's the same word as like the five skandhas, the five components. Literally, it is heap, like a original use of the word skandha. It's like a pile of like grains, a pile of sand, a pile of seeds. So an aggregate. Often in the case of the five skandhas, we say the five aggregates. So here, but literally heaps. So here the three components. One explanation says that the first section, paying homage, making prostrations. So homage can be made through body, speech, and mind. So through body is the the gestures of the body. If we're not able to do the prostrations, at least putting the palms together, bowing. Then we do half prostration, we do full prostration. So that's paying homage with body. Paying homage with speech is, of course, uttering. I pay homage to you, I pay homage to you. Paying homage with mind is the mind of admiration, mind of respect. And more important, and very important, is respect and admiration leading to us wanting to be like the objects of homage, to be Buddha-like. So one explanation of the three components consider this to be not one of the three, like just setting up the context, the stage. Then in the presence of these 35 Buddhas, then the first is confession of downfalls, confession of lapses in the vows, and laying them bare. That's how we confess them, by exposing them and then displacing them. To expose them and then to lay them down, to put them aside. Second component is rejoicing in merit. Rejoicing in the good that we have done, in the good that others have done, in the good that we are doing, in the good that others are doing, in the good that we will do and others will do. In a way, these two are like, they balance each other out, right? If you confess and put aside doing maybe too much of that without a bigger perspective, can maybe cause some kind of sad feeling or guilt feelings, or like, oh, it's always negative, Then rejoicing is to remind us, there's not only the noble truths of suffering, there's also the noble truths of the cessation of suffering. So then, second, rejoicing. And then the third element is dedication. The other explanation for this counts the first component as paying homage, and second component counts the confession and the rejoicing as one, and then third component is dedication. So these are just, various ways in which later masters try to help us kind of zoom in and focus on the important elements of this practice. So it doesn't matter really in the end how we count it, but to know these four elements, the paying of homage with admiration, with respect, and with desire to become Buddha-like, one. And to achieve that, right? To do that, what do we have to do? We have to stop creating the causes of suffering. And so that takes us to the next. And to put aside the causes of suffering, first we have to look at what suffering is. So the laying bare, the confession, is actually not judgment on yourself. Don't beat yourself up over it, but to, not pretend, not to be distracted by, not to distract ourselves from what suffering is. So lay bare, reveal the mess. Be brave, open that closet where you just throw everything in. Just open it. Yes, initially it will all come tumbling down. It's a little overwhelming, but it's okay. You lay bare, then you can sort. Then the other side of that is to know, well, yes, we have made unskillful choices. We are making unskillful choices. We might be making more unskillful choices, but at the same time, we have a choice. We have made skillful choices. That's why we have the Dharma now. If you have not made this great store of merit, we will not be here this morning together, listening to this, taking this to heart, being inspired, wanting to practice, wanting to change. How many people, think about it, are stuck in this condition of not believing that change is possible? Like, forget about, whether they meet Buddha Dharma or not. I'm not even talking about that. There are so many people, due to their circumstances, due to their conditioning, that to speak of change is just simply like fairy tale, And there's no worse way to get stuck than to be stuck with the idea that change is not possible, change is not meaningful. And all of that then pertains to karma, understanding of what karma really means, what Buddha's teachings on karma really means. Different people have different ideas of what karma means. What we're trying to do is to get a better and better and better understanding of how the Buddha taught what karma is, how karmic causality works. So then the second and third element, and the fourth element, dedication. Dedication then closes the loop, takes us back to the beginning. If we admire Buddhists, if we respect Buddhists because we admire them, and then finally we want to be like them, then why do we want to be like them? Because by becoming like them, we can be most beneficial to all. So then to that end, we dedicate this to the enlightenment, to the liberation and the enlightenment of all beings everywhere. Not only to their immediate limited happiness, but to the long-term lasting happiness of both self and other. At the point of dedication, self and other need not be experienced as here, there, closes that gap. So these are the four elements, although counted as three.